Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Whether you watching live or you watching later on YouTube, I just want to welcome you to the broadcast today. I have a special guest, Faye. She's a community organizer in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, especially in Dallas. Basically, we just want to recap some of the things that that's taking place with the Aaron Dean trial for I want to say the last 2 weeks. So we're just going to recap, talk about some things, some interesting things that came about with the trial. But if you're watching right now, just please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Black Empowerment Movement. So we're trying to continue to grow the channel. So subscribe, share, and like. If you're watching on Facebook and Facebook land, please remember to go to the YouTube channel, whether you do it now or down the road. Hey, leave Facebook, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, so you'll be notified when we go live, and I keep bringing you great videos. But without further ado, I have Faye. She's gonna jump off. I just lost her. She was just on. I wonder what happened with her. I was just about to bring her on. Let's see if we can get back on. Okay, there you go. I lost you. There you go.
Yay, I'm back.
Yeah, you bet. All right, so we're gonna jump into this thing. Before we get into it, give the people a little background about what you do and your background of being an activist in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Absolutely. One thing I want to say is all power to the people. Salute to all of those that are doing the work and all of those who are in prison, jail, or have been undermined by this the unjust system. And we work in the free everybody, and all political prisoners. So definitely salute to those that are doing the work, and I know that includes you, Ken, too. So thank you for having me on. And yeah, man, I've been doing this work for a while now. Very humbled by what I've been able to, kind of get done through the advocacy and outreach and things like that, with the organizations that have given me the opportunity to lead in certain spaces. I've touched a couple. I've touched a good amount of organizations. I got into this movement in Black liberation. I was definitely in 2A organization. I definitely, I always wanted to know how to protect my people and how to um, empower the community with utilizing their rights, right? And those are Second Amendment rights. So, and then, I moved on to more of the organizing and galvanizing aspect of civil rights and criminal justice, worked around some wrongful convictions in the city of Dallas. I was one of the lead coordinators for the Free Ben Spencer campaign with Texas Organizing Project, where a West Dallas Black man was wrongfully convicted of a murder in '83 that he did not do, where there was no DNA, and he had served 34 years already, and we had to get him out of prison now, or he wouldn't have been able to get out. So we worked really hard with stakeholders and the legal teams and things like that, and some people in Innocence Project and New Jersey Innocence Project. And that Black brother walked out of hell March 2021. So doing some of that work and then really settling in on police accountability work. So now I'm settled with a national organization called the Leadership Conference.
Yeah. Okay. Great stuff. So let's get into it. All right. That's start from the beginning. The first week of the trial. I know a lot. You was down there. I think you went every day. If I'm correct, you went every day. So just give us that first week. Take us through the highlights of what happened that first week of the Aaron Dean trial.
Okay, so one, I've been there since December the 5th. I know we had some strategy meetings that weekend on how we were going to show up the first day with respect to what the family wanted. And just a shout out to the amazing A team, Ashley, Amber, and Adarius. They've been, really having a lot of pressure on them from both sides of this. And I just want to take that time to appreciate them and everybody in the family that's working so hard to make sure Tatiana gets justice. We love y'all. We see y'all. and we're gonna stay committed to this journey. But yeah, I mean, December 5th kicked off. We had Zion go up first. He did an amazing job, being that he suffered so much trauma in losing his
Mm-hmm.
auntie, and caretaker, and somebody that really just stepped in, to be supportive of her family. You know what I mean? Living in Fort Worth and doing what she had to do, and just to see her get killed and murdered that night. I know it was hard for him to take that stand on Monday, but he did such a great job, and I'm so proud of him. And you know, um, yeah, man, that was a hard day.
Yeah.
The prosecution was interviewing Zion, going based on all of the events that happened, going over what was recorded that night, and also what happened, what he does remember. He was 8 years old when that happened. He's 11 now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't, some things I don't remember from 3 years ago. So I just think what I wanted to see, what we saw was the prosecution. I think they did a pretty decent job with him. But also, I don't like, in some ways, how the defense came at him.
Mm.
Also trying to, tell him, trying to force what they want him to say on him, and that's not Zion. He's unmovable. He's gonna be a force to reckon with, because Tatiana's vision is his number one thing. Like, he's
So
gonna
let's
keep
let's
up with
talk
that.
about that. What did they try to force him to say?
I think more so when they were asking him, well, the night of the murder, they put him with a child psychologist, supposedly, and talked to him about the what happened, and went through the accounts of when Darch and Aaron Dean arrived on the scene, and what he heard and what he saw, and things like that. But when it got time for them to ask him, you said this back in 2019, and now you're saying this now, and he was like, I don't recall some of those things. That was 3 years ago, but I didn't
Mm-hmm.
see that. And I think them just trying to, like, hone in on that. And I'm just so proud of him standing his ground, and standing up for what he remembers and what he know that happened. And that's what it is. So, and then also, so we get to the day. So day one, right? You got a packed house. Everybody, you got the main gallery full. The overflow room is full. Hell, even the media room probably was full. People in the hallway. It was packed out. And I think that, as we know, in Tarrant County, we had a judge who wanted to, you definitely flex his prejudice and on us that day. He wanted to show us that he's boss of that court. Nobody ever told him he wasn't, right? But we have
Mm-hmm.
every right to be in that space. Our ancestors have died, and been put in slavery for us to have access to public court and public trials. So I think it was important that we were in that space, and I'm glad everybody that showed up. But some people that showed up were a specific target, to the judge, and it just seems like the people that showed up that day, um, who were targeted, in my opinion, targeted by Judge Gallagher of the 396 court. They look like me, and they look like brown folk, and they didn't. They you know what I mean. They were people who have been known to speak out about this case and talk about the interworkings of Tarrant County criminal justice system. And
Yeah, we
I
gonna
don't think
definitely
that's
get into that.
by
We gonna,
chance. Yeah.
yeah, we gonna definitely get into that. So pretty much week one was pretty much Zion on the stand. And was it anyone else taking the stand that first week as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you had some subject matter experts come in on day two. I think it was real surprising, being that we have normally seen in Dallas, when there is a big nationwide, right, police violence trial, and there's no this is the biggest police violence trial on the nationwide level right now, right? And I think when we have seen it in Dallas, we've consistently seen our courts, human, like, we're able to put a picture up of the victim of police brutality, right? We're able to put pictures in the courtroom. The prosecution usually does that, and I think we were really confused as to why the prosecution did not put that photo up in Tarrant County
Oh
while they
wow.
were presenting the case. of a
Wow.
Tatiana. We wanted that picture of a Tatiana. I think we deserve that picture of a Tatiana, so we can humanize a Tatiana, and we can know that we're talking about a real human, a real med student, a 28-year-old Black woman who, was a caretaker for her family, who was an amazing auntie, some like, a supportive, a great sister, the exception to the rule, right? A Tatiana wanted to find a cure for diabetes. She was the exception. And so I think
Mhm.
I think not being able to unpack her and show her while we're presenting this evidence was I think it was a shortcoming. And so
Yeah, and I heard that echo from a lot of people that was there in person and people that was watching live. That first week, they was like, "Why is the state not doing this, that, and the third? And why they not doing this?" It's like they really, I don't know the strategy behind why they didn't do the things that they did, but it left a lot. It feel like they left a lot of meat on the bone per se, a whole lot of meat on the bone. They could have, like you said, just basically what you said. That's humanize her. That keep her picture up. Let's talk about her dreams, her aspirations, and talk about all these different things. And that was left to be desired. And I heard that from you and other people, like why they didn't do more of that. Like, do you have any theories or in your own mind why they didn't? Faye, you there? Faye, if you're there, I can't hear you. Lost your sound.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. So for me, I think from what I saw, I don't know if I can deduce their strategy, right? I don't know if it's the best strategy used. I think the only thing I can say is that photo would have spoke volumes. I also feel like there were certain things that they did good. You know what I mean? Day two, I think Ashley Diener did an amazing job. I think we saw her get up close and personal, talk directly to the jury about, what they did not do correctly in their general orders. But it's Tarrant County, right? you Their general orders are redacted, right? Like y'all, Tarrant County has some of their ordinances redacted. Like you can't
Mm,
get certain access to, they're open. The DA's office is supposed to allow you to get FOIA, do FOIA requests and get access to the data and access to the. But hey, you go on the Tarrant County website in any capacity. I don't care if it's the DA's office or the police department information, and it's a lot of, the stuff is redacted. And so I think there's an opportunity here to hold the criminal justice system in Tarrant County accountable. And I think Ashley did a pretty exceptional job on Tuesday. I was blown away by what she presented and how she was able to get Aaron Dean's partner, Darch, to say, we did not follow our general orders. And I did not tell him to do that. And some things we did was
mm,
wrong. I think that was a good day.
yeah,
I had hope. Like on Monday, I was very upset because one, as a parent, I don't want to see no Black boy have to go on the stand and hold all of that. But on Tuesday, I took a step back to really see what they were doing on the prosecution side, and I do like how they came at Darch. I like how they were
yeah.
able, but Darch, she just seemed like she was saying yes to everybody on both sides, right? She was saying yes to the defense and yes to the prosecution, and I just don't think she want to have nothing to do with it. And
Hmm.
but hey, you were there that night. You could have stepped in. You have a duty as a public servant to step in when you see an officer not following those orders.
Yeah, and that you bring up an interesting point. A lot of the things Tarrant County that they do, they give us some groundwork to get started on working on like the things that they need to change with everything being redacted and all of that. That give us
Absolutely.
this trial is uncovering a lot of shady business that as
Absolutely.
as activists, we got something. Okay, let's note that, note this. We got some work to do. We got some things we can
Absolutely.
now work on now. So it's nothing positive about this whole situation, but something we can take from it is what
Absolutely.
what you're mentioning. It is good to have people like you on the ground with a
Yeah.
keen eye to see that, because
Yeah.
you living in Dallas and working with other different cases,
Correct.
know the ins and outs that need to be fixed on this side of things, on
Absolutely.
counter. So that's good. That's good that you was on the ground and you was able to see that. So and then going on later that week, it was kind of, I mean, was it a day, Wednesday and Thursday, did anything interesting happen or caught your eye?
I think on Wednesday, I'm trying to think. Wednesday, how was the court? I mean, Monday was one of the biggest days. The fifth was a big day, and then
Yeah.
this past Monday was a big day. I think
Yeah.
everybody shows up on a Monday
Yeah,
because
let's
that's the
talk about
kickoff
that.
for
Let's take it to
they.
the second week then. Let's talk about that now. The defense threw a curveball. They brought Aaron Dean out first on Monday. You know, I think that caught people off guard, because usually they try to save. If you correct me wrong, they usually save the person, the accused of a crime, to go last, right?
Hey, I listen. We have been talking to, there's a lot of organizations on the ground. First of all, doing a lot of dope shit. But I also know that there's not a lot of people speaking in the voice of the community and organizing. Like community speak is much different than legalese attorney speak. Let me make that very clear because I don't think people understand that. It's so different because you're talking in the way that the community can understand what just happened to you or what is happening. I think there's organizations that have lawyers debriefs every day, but I think what I saw with like the lawyer debriefs and on day 3 and things like that is people were still asking questions by Monday. Why are they doing this? Why are they putting Aaron Dean on the stand? We didn't never expect him to go on the stand. As of Wednesday, when they wrapped it up on last Wednesday and just stopped midweek. Keep in mind, we thought we was going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We was ready, suited and booted. For them to just stop on Wednesday, I actually asked the prosecution. I said, "Wow, what's going on? Why are we not having court anymore this week? Oh, we're done. They rested on Wednesday. The state rested on Wednesday, and they brought out. I think they brought out a subject matter expert on trajectory. Maybe nope, they didn't. They just brought out what the gun would look like. They talked about the fatal funnel, and they talked about where the bullet went in on the Tatiana and where it went out. They talked about where the
What
glass
day was
settled on
this?
her face.
This was the first week of what, Wednesday, right?
Yeah, this was Wednesday. That's what they talked about, and then they wrapped it up and they was done.
Yeah.
And I think I'm glad they showed where the bullet went in at her heart and how it came out at the base of her back, her lower back, because I think it also speaks to the fact that she would have been trying to see who is this peeping Tom in my backyard. It shows that she was bent down. But I think there's some other thing. They could have brought a subject matter expert on trajectory, right? I know in the
Okay.
Boston John case down here when we were doing a lot of work, they brought in those specialists. They talked about how the bullet went in and went out, or how Amber Geiger was positioned. You know what I mean? When she shot him and and killed him and murdered him, and I think they could have just did a better job by showing that, but they rested. We
Yeah.
were we didn't understand why. So court was done for the rest of the week after Wednesday, and so we were thinking, who would they bring on next? And we knew it was gonna be the defense. They suited and booted. They probably got every kind of expert that you could goddamn think of. Eye expert, foot expert, ear expert, police expert. Like we were like, they were just gonna bring on a lot of experts. That's what we said. We said the defense gonna bring on a lot of experts. They're gonna bring on a lot of people that know Dean, because we know we know the corruption that lies within the defense, and we know that like what's happening in this world of white supremacy in Tarrant County Jail. Because I'm just gonna call it what it is. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
straight
Yeah.
racism, white supremacy, good old boy club, mess. Like that's what's happening. So we knew they were gonna do that. But when they didn't bring those experts and then started off with Aaron Dean on Monday,
Mm.
I was like, what? We talked to some attorneys over the weekend. We talked to some people, victims of police violence, which is the families of those who've been involved as a victim of police violence. They was like, there's no way they're gonna bring Aaron Dean up. They brought his ass up, and we were blown away. I don't think that's strategic, but I guess they wanted to give him 4 hours um to say a lot of nothing when they only gave Tatiana's sister Ashley Carr 9 minutes to speak to her humanity and speak to her beauty and talk about who she was. And I just think that was irresponsible. The
So
fact that
let's talk about, but let's back to that's they on
Mhm.
the Aaron Dean on the stand.
Yes.
So now I was watching that. That's when I started really paying attention that second week, watching it live on YouTube. So when he took the stand, he was starting to get frustrated with the questions, like when the state was asking, was that good police work? Everybody was just like, that just became the slogan of the trial. Was that good police work? And
Mm-hmm.
in his body, non-verbals, he was discomfort. He was
Yeah, it's
drinking
posture, everything,
water,
gesture. Yeah.
water that he
Mm-hmm.
didn't even have in his cup anymore. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he was just all over the place. He was like this. He was really frustrated. And the
Mm-hmm.
thing I take away, it was so much I took away when he was on the stand. But the main thing was he showed no remorse.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of made some jokes. He made a jokes like they was asking him like, "Do you feel like is anything you could have done differently?" And he said, "Well, maybe I should have just stayed at home." And
That
they
is
like, "Are you joking?
that's
Are
crazy.
you
That's
joking?"
stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, and he like, "No," and he was like, so. My takeaway was he didn't show any remorse at all. Like at
I
least in
mean,
the second trial, at least Amber showed remorse. Whether it was real or fake, who knows? She at least tried to show remorse. This guy didn't try to show. He didn't show an ounce of remorse at all.
I think, I take white tears for what they are, white tears. I'm not gonna add to them or take away from them. We know what they've been used
But
and
he
how
he
they've been.
did it.
I mean, he tried to drop a dry ass tear on Monday when he talked about Zion, but he looked at the judge and his defense attorney and saw he was off code, so that shit dried up very quickly. It was less than a few seconds that he tried to hit us with those white tears, but we know what that means, and we know what that's code for. Like that's coded language, right? Like we're not feeling no empathy or sympathy for what you did because you did not render aid, you did not announce yourself, you walked past two open doors, you went straight to the darkest part of the house. You had a mission. You thought that a Tatiana was involved in something, innuendo, and making it seem like, oh, robberies and burglaries happen in Morningside and things like that, and this community is dangerous. No. And Mr. James proved that when he got on the stand and said, no, my community is not dangerous, no more dangerous than any other community, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think them trying to set up the play and, and asking Mr. James what they asked him, who called the nonviolent line, a non emergency line, which he's done before, right? Like,
Yeah.
people that have lived in their communities for 60 years have definitely interfaced with the police. Let's be honest. People that have lived in their community for 60 years, they should know every police officer on their goddamn beat, honestly. You know what I mean? So Mr. James is known. His whole family is known. That's they all know each other. So I think when the defense tried to, make Mr. James cave or succumb to the negativity they're trying to put around that community and trying to act like it was a whatever kind of house. I don't care who, a dope house or a house of this, a house of that. No, that is not the case. Y'all didn't follow y'all rules. Y'all targeted this Tatiana. Y'all didn't do anything on code. Y'all, you know what I mean? It was the wild wild west shit, honestly. Like he
Yeah.
acted like
Yeah.
it was horrible. Everything
Yeah.
he did was absolutely horrible. The fact that you found out in week 2 that it took them 77. It took him 77 seconds to put that bullet in Tatiana's heart from the time that the time of the interaction. Come on now, bro. Like that? No. Like within itself, that lets you know
And
murder should have.
the thing that got me was he walked past a wide open door.
Right.
He didn't announce himself.
Correct.
He could have knocked on the door and say, "Hey, Fort Worth police," and then it's
Correct.
another emergency. He could have said, "Fort Worth police, anyone in there? Everything okay?" He
Correct.
didn't even try to do that. The door was wide open. The screen,
Yep.
the main door was open. The screen door was closed, but the light
Right.
was light. It wasn't dark. It was lit. The room was lit up.
Right.
Then he had the nerve to say, in so many words, "Oh, the front part of the house was messy, so I thought burglars was piling shit up to grab and leave." What the hell?
Yeah,
So
that was
basically
some
he's trying
shit
to
to
say
me.
she dead because she had a messy house.
Who like, one, she got every right to have her house any kind of way she want to have her house. Two, so we execution style killing people because they have a messy home. Three, you don't know if she could have had any kind of problems. Let me tell you something. I had, as somebody who has been a homeowner, I will open up a back door and a side door and a front door and every kind of door if some chemicals get in my house, if I'm trying to air my shit out, and if I had a pest problem. I had a pest problem before, and let me tell y'all something. I don't want to tell y'all that I did have a mice problem, y'all. But let me tell you something. When I the first time I had to get that pest control in there, I opened up all them doors, and I would have definitely hoped that wouldn't result in my murder,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm trying to handle. Like, you don't know what she was doing, and you don't know why that house. You don't know what could have been going on, and that's why your ass has general
She
orders
could have
that
she
you
could
have
have
to
been burning some
follow.
chicken or something. Had to
Right.
open the door
You
open.
now you
Like,
know black mamas. You know if you burn some chicken, you open them doors, open them
yeah.
windows, open all
When
of it.
I'm at home, when I'm at home cooking, I burn some. I open my screen door up and patio
Shoot.
door. I gotta air it out.
So that's why it's so important that they follow their general orders, because you're not the end all and be all. You don't make the judgments, and you're not God. And so for you to shoot her like you did within 77 seconds and then stand over her body, and the last thing she got to see is your pale ass face when she takes her last breath, and you're not even trying to render aid, which is something that the lead investigator tried to do when he got on the scene, but you didn't do it, and you got the nerve to get on the stand and say you was. Shut your lying ass up. I'm not. I just can't believe that we're here. Right? It seems like a dream. It seems surreal that somebody could do that. You know what I mean? And it just feels like even though he's guilty, it just still feel like he's getting away with it, because it's murder,
Yeah,
hands down.
yeah.
It's intentional. He said on the stand he intended to shoot to kill, because he felt like he was met with force. Force has to be responded with force. We did not see
Mm-hmm.
the gun pointed at you. The glass that was on Tatiana's face when she bled out and died showed that the bullet went through the window when she was bent down, not standing straight in front of you with a gun pointed at you. So you lying, and the video
Mm-hmm.
don't even show that. So tell me, how make this all make sense? None of it makes sense. None of it.
Exactly. And let's get into that then. So we all know, everyone should know, he's found guilty of manslaughter. I'm gonna be honest. You just said what I heard. He said he met force with force. He had every intention of stopping what he perceived was a threat,
Right.
meaning he had intent to my interpretation. I'm
Right.
not a lawyer, I'm not a law person, but my basic ground surface level, when he said he had intent to kill her because he met force with force, I felt like manslaughter was off the table at that point.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Manslaughter was off the table at that point because he did not act reckless.
Right.
He had intentions, and he said he had intentions of killing her because he felt like she pointed. Now this is his word. He felt threatened because a gun was pointed at him, which that was a lie.
Right.
And he had intentions to killing her. First of all,
Right.
even if worst case scenario, she had a gun pointed, you in her back window at
Come on
night,
now.
she can't see if you the police or not.
Right.
So, and then she have a right to have a firearm in her own
Let's
and
talk
possess
about it. It's
it. Yeah.
Texas.
So, so miss me with the manslaughter charge. I'm sorry.
Right.
Miss
Right.
me with that. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I think, I think my thoughts on him not getting convicted of murder, which he should, because let me be very clear, Aaron Dean committed murder on October 12th, 2019. He solidly committed murder. And even if it wasn't clear as day on the books based on the penal code, which is written by slave owners, right? We have to see the byproducts of murder. The byproducts of murder is not announcing yourself. The byproducts of murder is not assessing the scene. The byproducts of murder is not even following your general orders. The byproducts of murder, like there's so many byproducts of murder for me that murder should have stuck. And then even when he said force met with force on that, even when he said my intention was to meet her with this kind of deadly force, that should have been combined with all of the byproducts of what he didn't do right. He murder should have been the only thing you can possibly feasibly see. And I think it speaks to the racist process that Tarrant County has set up on picking juries. I think it speaks to how Black people have to start training, even Black empowerment movement, even leadership conference. We have to start training our people on what jury selection means, how to answer these questions, how to speak, in the language so we can give people a fighting chance. When you're on that jury, you're giving somebody's life meaning. You're giving somebody's life meaning, and it's so important. Being that we saw an all-white jury be selected for this case is just, it's more for the Fort Worth Police Association, for Cleat, and all those good old boy established spaces that pump money into Aaron Dean's case and other cases where they've gotten these officers off time and time and
Mm.
time again. Like, it gives us the opportunity to call them out on their bullshit. That jury being all white is why we have this manslaughter
Now they say
charge.
some people of color on there.
I've seen the jury. They told us early on, don't ever speak about the jury. Don't ever say who is who. Don't ever da 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 da. But hey, look, I'm just gonna say it. I mean, I did see a man of, I think he looked like Samoan, right? Um, I was like, oh, hopeful about that. I guess you could say Beto O'Rourke looking white boys. So I was hopeful about that. I saw some people of the Asian community, Asian American community. They look like the California Asians though. And our brothers, our yellow brothers and sisters, as we call it. I think they had the capacity to really see what the fuck was going on too. But then everybody else that I saw was, you can see, cut and dry. They there for blood. They ain't got no interest in not following, the code to the T, to say, look, this they didn't have no interest in not protecting the white establishment as it's set up already. You can tell from how they looked. They were going to vote with the police every time, anytime, with the eyes closed, eyes open. They were going to vote for the police. You could tell based
Mm.
on what the jury,
Mm.
was made up of. And but also, it's at the end of the day, there was Black people who got called to. There's 200 people that got called to this election, and for no Black person to make it, that's BS.
So,
Why?
Faye, so you saying we need to, as activists in the community, we need to
Hmm.
start training our people on how to answer certain questions and jury selection.
Yeah, based on where you
Yeah.
live in the world. I don't care if it's Atlanta, South Carolina, Texas, anywhere. Our core organizations need to be training people on what kind of jury pools that their county, state, or wherever they are, uses traditionally. One.
If you know what kind of jury, what kind of jury they utilize, then you'll know how to dissect it. You'll know how to pull what this means. You'll know how to say this is usually how this jury process works. You'll know how to say this is how we're gonna, we want more people to we you can check the process. You can it's so many things you could do, right?
Yeah.
If you actually just start training people on what jury selection looks like and how the process is going to look for them. And hey, because you black, just like everything else we have to do, because you black you can't do this, because you black you can't do that, because you black you got to answer stuff like this, because you black you got to just training our people on how to get in those spaces, right? And we have too much data over the last decades that show jury, black people being excluded from juries. You got federal cases, you got lawsuits talking about how the jury pool is taint, how jury process is tainted, and how it's selective, and how it's racist, and how it's biased. We have all that, but while the lawyers is working on that, we need to be training our people about your civic duty. Jury selection is your civic duty. You have to be registered to vote. You know what I mean? You know, and there's a lot. Texas has more registered black folk, because we not Texas has more registered black folk than any. Listen, we're in like the top two, top three. We
Mm-hmm.
got more registered black folk to vote than any other state. We should be utilizing that, because jury selection could be used as something that can save our people's lives, because we know black people are just, we have the disparities when it comes to being convicted more in America. We have the disparities when it comes to not having juries that look like our peers. You know what I mean? Not having
Yep.
jury.
Yep.
So let's use that as a force. I think that's a way in, because this all white jury, is the one making the end call
Yep.
on Aaron Dean's and a Tatiana's lives. This all white jury picked manslaughter. We should not be okay with that. This all white.
Mm-mm.
We should not be okay with crumbs. I don't care if the arc of justice is bending in Tarrant County. We need to make sure that motherfucker breaks.
Exactly.
Like, I don't
Exactly.
care if the arc of justice is bending in Tarrant County. I don't care that we're getting our first indictment and conviction of an officer ever in Tarrant County. If we know we can bend that motherfucker, let's break it. It is time. We have faced
Exactly.
with history right now where we need to do that.
Exactly. Exactly. And guys, man, man, that's important right there. And also, just a quick reminder, if y'all watching right now, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe. Uh, so so we got the manslaughter. Okay, whatever. That carries 2 to 20 in the state of Texas. Manslaughter is 2 to 20. So that now we go to the sentencing phase. That happened on Friday. Wait,
Correct.
yeah, Friday. So we in the sentencing phase. We seeing these different people coming to talk. So because they trying to, you got your state trying to get the influence the jury to give him the perceived max, and then of course the defense is working to try to get him the lowest of the low of that
Correct.
manslaughter.
Correct.
So what stand out to you on that Friday with the people they had on the stand and what they were saying? What stood out to you?
Hmm. Um. The verdict was huge
Him being
last
a
week.
pervert stood out to me.
The verdict stood out for me because I knew what that meant. I think, I mean, knowing we were asking questions like, had the jury sent down any notes? Because the jury can send down notes to ask for more evidence to be viewed, right? We knew that the jury wanted to view photos. We knew that the jury wanted to view. Because we've been asking these kind of questions because that's what organizers do on the ground. Um, Now I understand that manslaughter is what was handed down, because I'm sure they honed in on defense, self defense or whatever that the defense was trying to hone in on. Um, I was taken aback. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to protest. I wanted to shut it down. I was so mad. Like, I don't know what to do, but I also want to be, you know,
Strategic.
I want to be strategic, and I want to, um, respect the family. right?
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
family has been telling us, just move as we need you to move, and we're respectful to that as organizers and activists and anybody who stands up against the corruption. Man, that took a lot out of me. I
Yeah.
went home and just had to sit with myself. And I wanted to be around my brothers and sisters, but I needed time. I needed time by myself.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know they would come back with that. I think the the courts introducing that that morning and giving them the option to do manslaughter, and them taking about 13 to 14 hours to figure out, manslaughter. This is the less severe on the criminal homicide spectrum, right? Like
Yeah.
this is the less severe charge. This is right above intoxication manslaughter. This is not,
Exactly. This is, yeah,
you know,
exactly. That's, yeah. When you think
it,
of manslaughter, that's what people think intoxicated when you driving drunk and you kill somebody.
right. This is one step above that. And I think I want people to really take that in and what that means. I'm not saying I'm not happy that he's not guilty. I use that word. I'm very happy that Aaron Dean is guilty. But manslaughter in the state of Texas, I mean, it's a felony. I'm glad he can't hold a gun again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I'm glad, I'm happy about that. He don't need a gun. He never needs to touch a goddamn gun in a day in his life, because all he gonna do is shoot another black person with it. Um,
Facts.
I think that the movement is seeing what happens when you have all white jury. I think we're seeing what
Yeah.
happens. But I also need us to understand where everybody is, so there's certain people that are happy we got manslaughter. I'm happy he's guilty. I'm not happy that we got manslaughter. But I also
Yeah.
understand that people have never seen this in Tarrant County. I get that. But I'm just like, stop giving credit to the wrong folk. We're not here because the DA is responsible. We're not here because you had a just a badass prosecution team. We're not here because the powers that be have done right by Tatiana. We are here at a guilty verdict because of community pressure, and I need people to understand that. The powers that
Facts.
be are not doing us no favors. We have to stand up. Community pressure, congressmen out against it when the powers that be didn't want them to. So that's why we're here, and I think the community needs a round of applause, right? That's
Yeah.
why I'm taking my hat off to the family, the community, people that have organized around this since 2019 when they wanted you to forget
Yep.
about a
Yep.
Tatiana. We went out and we canvassed that neighborhood last week. Um, Blacktop canvas. We went out there and we talked to people. We handed out flyers. We said, "Do you remember what happened with the Tatiana?" People didn't even know, they forgot about it, and that's what the DA's office wanted to do. That's what the mayor, the anybody involved with the corruption of Tarrant County, the Fort Worth Police Department, they wanted everybody to forget about it. But re-energizing
Exactly.
people around what this case really means for us, for Tarrant County, I'm very happy we've turned the corner, and we're able to get a
Exactly.
guilty on a white police officer in a historically Republican town where all the judges is Republicans, and we need more representation of our people. So yeah, I'm happy about that. But Dean committed murder, and I just want to make sure he committed murder, and that's it for me.
So how you feel about what happened in the courtroom on Friday with the judge and all the kangaroo court stuff? What's your thoughts
Oh
on that?
man, man, man,
So
man. It's just
give the people the background. People may or may not know what happened. Give the people a background what happened.
okay. So
Give
yeah,
give
so
them context.
so what I do know, where is that document? Okay, so what I do know is since day one, Judge Gallagher, of the 396 court, is is a judge that has been investigated, been by by the federal powers that be. He done had lawsuits thrown against him. He's very erratic. He's prejudiced, racist, whatever you want to call him. You know, he doesn't follow the rules. Let's just say that. This is the same judge that put a shock belt on a defendant, a black male, and shocked him 3 times in his court because he didn't want to answer his questions. This is the same judge that's in cahoots with the defense. You know, I always tell people, what do you do when the judge is best friends with the DA, and what do you do when the DA is best friends with the, you know, with the conviction integrity unit director, and what do you do when the Fort Worth Police Department chief goes and has golf sessions with the son of the DA? You know what I mean? Like, they're all they're in a club. They
Like
hang
when we
together.
say that, they literal folks are friends. Like we just don't
Right.
say they in cahoots just to say it. Like they in real life, these people golf together. They
Yep.
go out drinking. They are actually real life buddies. Go ahead. I'm
Yep.
sorry.
Absolutely. You're right, Kentu. And we know how this good old boy system works, right? And so um this is why we see what we're seeing right now, right? The judge trying to throw the set up the plays for the defense, right? This is why we see the judge swearing in potential witnesses that he has no intention to testify. I need us to think about that. You're swearing in potential witnesses that you have no intention to testify on the witness stand. Why? And why are all these witnesses that have been sworn in, which is about 6 to 7 people, black or brown? Why? Why is everybody that is being sworn in a Tatiana supporters? Why? Because it is a blatant discriminatory act by the judge to influence this trial to help the defense. It is a silencing mechanism to shut up activists and organizers around this so they can't talk. Because you got to understand, by law, when you get sworn in and you take that oath and you lift that hand up, you cannot participate in the proceedings. You cannot come to court no more. You're barred. You're out of there. You can't talk about this case. Can't no cameras get in your face. You can't go on Facebook. You can't go on TikTok. You can't make videos. You can't say nothing.
Yeah.
This judge
Yeah.
is abusing his power. He's
Yeah.
abusing his power. He needs to be sanctioned. He needs to be reported to the state commission of judicial conduct, the SCJC, and we need to do it fast. We need to make sure that he understands where we're coming from. And the defense needs to be complained on too. Because the defense is telling the judge who to swear in. They got their eyes on movers and shakers in that courtroom. They have kicked out some of my friends. So what we did is
Isaiah just coming and say he said some of them earlier who were being sworn in were being difficult on purposely, admittedly, but the last two was a blunder. What's your thoughts on when he just coming on? But
I don't
they still don't justify that.
I think you got I think difficult is, I guess you could say difficult is subjective and based on the what
Yeah,
we're talking about. What is difficult? What is difficult in a court? What is difficult based on what I think difficult is and what Isaiah thinks difficult is, and I let him have that statement. But last time I checked, my mere presence is a protest in an all white courtroom. Last time I checked, my complexion doesn't get me the same protections as anybody white in that courtroom. And if you're telling me that wearing a shirt that has a Tatiana on it and being in the overflow room is difficult, okay. But if you're telling me I ain't got nothing, nothing on my shirt, if and I'm in the main gallery and I cough or I make a noise, you're telling people not to be human in a space they're allowed to be human. If none of those people that were sworn in yelled out anything, Check me on that if you can.
Yeah,
None of those people that were being sworn in said, Judge, you's a racist. Nobody was held in contempt. And that's what I think people need to understand. Being held in contempt is different than being sworn in, because
exactly,
the judge feels like you doing something that's difficult. So what is difficult?
exactly,
It's different
exactly.
interpretations to that.
Exactly. I'm 100% with you. 100%. So it basically kangaroo court stuff, and that's, to be honest, once you get in that in there, you play by the judge rules. Unfortunately, how things are set up in this country. Um but yeah, he was basically just swearing people in to get them not to talk to the public, not to be on
Get them
social
out that
media.
courtroom. Get them
Yeah,
out of that
it
courtroom.
was
Get out
very
of my
very
courtroom.
it
Yeah.
was very strategic. You can tell it was a lot of stuff that he was hand in hand working on the defense on, and we can't be naive and don't think these people talk behind closed doors. um and 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 oh my God, I'm gonna share this comment. Isaiah said this is hilarious. He said no one should have any text on their shirt in the gallery outside the courts is different.
Yeah, but I think we just made that point, and I think he's right. Right. I think in a public trial, you are not supposed to have any text on your shirt or buttons or anything like
Yeah,
that, and that's one thing that we as a community have committed to not doing. And I think if anybody did, that would be the first thing that the media room would have reported on. A group of
yeah.
this came in. This person came in with this on their shirt. They're not following the rules. I think we know that
And
the
then Isaiah said somebody was making gestures to Zion when he was testifying. I don't know about that. What did you see that?
listen, I was looking, look, my eyes is big, y'all, so I know I was honing in on Zion. I was smiling when Mr. James went up and I was in the main gallery. I was leaning on people just to make sure he could see my eyes, like, I'm here for you. Like, don't you stand your ground, you know what I mean? You speak to what the
Yeah.
truth is. If that is gesturing, then shit, I should have been sworn in a long time ago, because I've been there since the fifth. So I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
think people are abruptly being like, ain't nobody being held in contempt. He is
So
swearing in whomever
what's
he's
up?
swearing in whoever he wants to, in regards. And I guess I'm just saying, why are most of these people he's swearing in the Tatiana supporters? I think that
Exactly.
speaks volumes. Also, why is he racial profiling in his court? On Friday, one of my good friends that's a founder of one of leading organizations in Dallas around policing, he swore him in because the defense said Manuel Mata's name. So the defense said his name in the court. Where like there when Aaron Dean's mama was on the stand, they were looking for Manuel Mata. They said his name. The judge said his name. But because the judge thinks that all brown folk look alike, and because the judge thinks that all black folk look alike, he called up a man. He picked a Hispanic man, thinking
Yep.
he was Manuel Mata, brought him in front of the gate, and um told him his name. And he was like, "No, that's not me. I'm not Mata." He said, "I'm not Mata." He told him to lift his hand anyway. He getting sworn in. Where do we do that at? What do we?
Exactly.
So what do we do? So we're not gonna speak about him racial profiling. We're not gonna speak about that. We're not gonna talk about the fact that this judge is swearing in who he wants to, who he thinks
Yeah.
is organizing around the corruption in Tarrant County system
Exactly.
and the corruption
Exactly.
around this trial. When he did that, the judge showed his hand. He actively showed his hand. in
He
the
showed
in
his
the
hand.
and the people that think that that's good courtroom etiquette for a judge to do that and racially profile, the people that think that it's okay for the judge to swear in 6 to 7 folks that he knows have been advocating for Tatiana, that's not okay. And I think he had a temper tantrum. I think the way that the judge has hissy fits is by throwing people in jail.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I think when we saw that Manuel Mata came into the courtroom, didn't yell, didn't get held in contempt, sat quietly in that courtroom, and the defense literally said Manuel Mata is here. When they brought Manuel Mata up and he asked, and the judge said, "You're getting sworn in," and he asked why. And the judge said, "Are you going to take the oath?" And he said, "Well, I want to know who is asking for me as a witness, Judge. Is it the
Yeah.
defense? Is it the prosecution? Who is asking for me as a witness?" And then for the judge to say, "Are you going to take the oath?" And he's saying, "Well, I don't consent if you're not going to tell me who's asking for me as a witness." And then for them to tell him, "Manuel Mata, or do you have are you out on bond?" And then he says, "Yes, I'm out on bond." Let's be very clear. I have a record because of the police protesting charges that I have had on my record because I stand up for the people. He's absolutely going to have a record
Yeah.
because we are, if you're in this for the people and if you're doing this for people you ain't never going to meet in your life, but you're doing this for generations to come, and you're doing the hard work and the heavy lifting. Most activists and organizers in my circle in Dallas, we have protest charges. We have interfering with this. We have all that kind
Yeah.
of misdemeanors.
Yeah.
We fight those things in courts with the beautiful attorneys that fight for people in the movement. And we get beyond that and keep doing the work. So the fact that he's going to revoke his bond and not tell him why he's revoking his bond, we ain't hear nothing about no subpoenas. We didn't hear nothing about what his charges were. And then for
Yeah.
them to accost him and take him off to jail and say your bond is insufficient, it's foul. It's foul play, and nobody wants to talk about that.
Well, we talking about it right now. So yeah, that was foul play because his bond had nothing to do with what was going on. He has a right to come to that courtroom, to be a witness. So for him and just for him asking for legal counsel, like, and then just to throw the man, lock him up and revoke all his bonds. Because if
He
you
has
weren't able
every right to ask for legal counsel. If anybody in this room ever gets in front of a judge or anybody of elected capacity, you have the right to call your attorney. You have the right to seek counsel, and you have the right to ask who's asking for me to be a witness, because you could not have no facts about this case. You probably don't know nothing about the investigations around this case. And if you don't know that, why would you be called as a witness?
Exactly. And Isaiah was saying, he said Top had all their shirts on. Why? I get there weren't in the gallery, but that's unnecessary attention drawing. We are community members first. This is about the family and Aaron Dean being tried. What's your thoughts?
I think my thoughts on that is he already answered the question. If they weren't in the gallery, I don't think you need to be asking organizations why they are not in the gallery when they shouldn't be in the gallery with their shirts on. I think you answered your own question. We had every right.
Yeah.
like,
Like, if you're not
like
in the
any
gallery, why
organization.
not have a shirt? So what I'm getting from Isaiah with these questions, he's very what is called respectable politics. He's not per se one of your, like me and we hard charge revolutionary grounds roots boots to the ground type people. He's more about respectable politics. I'm not a respectable politic type person. I get its time and place, but for more majority of my DNA is not respectable politics, and I feel like you're the same way too.
I think I would ask Isaiah to speak to that. Texas Organizing Project is a very robust, known organization around elected official work, municipal work. They literally were able to knock 90,000 doors in the midterms that just happened in Tarrant County. I think an organization that's committed to doing the work like they have been doing, being in Tarrant County, getting people registered to vote, getting them to the polls. I think for you to say that it's a problem that they have their shirts on, I think it speaks to the fact that you are not willing to call out people on both sides. Like, why are you not talking about the Proud Boy tattoos and the bailiffs who are being very disrespectful to black folk, like the judge's bailiff Kerry King? Why are we not talking about the Blue Lives Matter cups and the Blue Lives Matter paraphernalia that they have on in the courts? Why are we not talking about them being, them showing off their tattoos so we can know who they stand with? If you're gonna tell everybody on both sides has the right to do what they're going to do outside of their courtroom. We, what do you mean bringing attention to ourselves? Don't nobody
Yeah.
have to walk around with their head down. If you are
Yeah.
part of organization that you know is doing the work, and that you know is proactive, and that you know is progressive, that is making sure we hold the systems accountable so your children and their children can have a better life, and our children can have a better life, and people that's getting down and and is trained, understands the courtroom process. That's what Top does. Top is some of the best subject matter experts in court process and court watching and holding judges accountable that I know. So
Exactly. And
if
and
you're
then he
gonna
was saying, and then
point
he
it
was
out on
talking
both
about
sides.
people talking about people yelling outside the courtroom, arguing with the bailiffs in the courtroom early in the trial. And I'm like,
People were yelling outside of the courtroom after we found out that the judge wrongfully arrested Manuel Mata. People have every right to have their feelings.
exactly.
Just because people don't walk around quiet like you, Isaiah, doesn't mean that they everybody has the right to be human. If we want to say that was wrong, we can say that. If we want to yell outside, everybody was talking outside the courtroom. But
And
you're not talking about this. You're not talking about the other people. Everybody was talking what happened, what is going on. We were talking about the fact that the judge did not have to sidestep this trial and put the attention on him. He was mad. The defense wanted Manuel Mata because he does the work and holds the powers that be accountable in Tarrant County. He's known to be a journalist that records police brutality. So he wanted Manuel Mata. So I
mhm,
would ask you, if you're going to be so impartial to organizations and progressive people that want to do the work by holding these powers that be accountable, then if you're not if I would ask you to talk about it on both sides, because you're
yeah,
not talking about the Blue Lives Matter stuff we saw all week. You're not
yeah,
talking about you know what I mean. You're not talking about that. You want to talk about organizations. You have no right. And
yeah,
until you join the organization and you can be in the meetings and say, "Hey, I think we should not do this in court," you don't. The majority of us are doing the work. We have every right to wear that shirt, and
yeah.
you ain't gonna stop us from doing it. And if you
And
think you
just
can, then you need to join the organization and try to make a difference from the inside, because you're not gonna do it. Have a
Yeah,
good
and
day.
just to put things in context, and this I'm not blasting because he is public now. And Isaiah, he's tried to join the Fort Worth Police Department. So I kind of get why he can see things on along those lines. I think the brother was trying to join so he can make change within the Fort Worth Police Department, but I don't know what happened with that. That didn't happen, but yeah. So just to put things in context, me personally, what you feel about black men and women joining police departments? Since I know we veering off topic, but how you feel about that?
Mm, oh, I feel like this. I mean, and the kids, so you know how I feel about that. I feel like if I feel like what there's a need for people to be on the outside and the inside. But I
Yeah,
also feel like once you're on the inside, you're gonna get ate up by the historically
the
race
system.
processes and system that's set up for you. I think you know, I think if you join the police force, you're gonna have to take everything that comes with it. I think being in behind that blue wall, whether you joining it to make it better or whatever, I think a lot of people have tried to do that before, and we have seen throughout the history of policing, and why it was even established for runaway slaves. I think we have seen that most of those police officers get ate up by the system, or they go rogue and they leave the police force. Um, and I just think if you want it, if that's how you think you're going to make a difference, then you're mistaken. And that's how I feel
Yeah,
about it. Because I think
yeah,
we've shown over the centuries and the decades that policing hasn't improved our outcome and hasn't improved our quality of life. I think we've shown that policing hasn't changed anything, whether it's violent crime, whether it's disparities in arrest. Like, I think we've shown that the disparities in arrest is still settling on Black folk backs. What has policing improved? And if we do need it, why? I mean, I'm just going based on the data. And the data
Yeah.
shows, Leadership Conference has a website called accountablenow.org, where they track every police department, and they show how many in custody deaths, and they show the history of policing. If it's improved our communities, tell me where. So if you get into that space and you want to change policing from the inside, understand you're going to be treated just like the bad ones are treated. The bad
Mm.
apples in policing are treated because you decided to get behind that blue wall. Show me somebody that got behind that blue wall that actually has progressively changed the state of policing.
Man, you can't find them. You can't.
So that's
Can't.
that's that's what I say to that. And everybody
It's a
does.
pipe dream. It's a pipe dream.
Yeah, it
Even
is.
it's a pipe dream. And I even told Isaiah that. I said, man, it's a pipe dream. What you trying to do is a pipe dream. So yeah, go ahead. I ain't gonna get into our discussion, but overall I told him it was a pipe dream.
Well,
But
and then I also will say, Tarrant County, stop saying that Dallas are outsiders. Tarrant County, please stop saying that we're outsiders. Tarrant County, please stop telling us what we can and cannot do. Tarrant County, please stop trying to parent Dallas activists. Tarrant County, stop. Because we do the same work as you do. If not, we working with Tarrant County, and we've been brothers and sisters for a long time before you decided to make your opinion on how we organize, how we strategize. We need to be working together, not trying to keep people outside of the process. I don't care how Tarrant County is set up. I've heard that so much this week. Well,
yeah,
we different. I don't care. Well, we don't do stuff like that. I don't care. Well, do
yeah,
you got to come in here and kiss the ring? We don't do that.
yeah. And Patrice just left Patrice Jones just left the comment. She said we need to stop policing the community members willing to be involved and support victims of police brutality. This is about a Tatiana, but this is also bigger than a Tatiana in Tarrant County. I agree with that. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think that we need to stop policing community members because we are doing the same thing that we're telling people we're fighting for. Like, why would we police the community members? Like, why would we tell them what they can and cannot do? I
Mm-hmm.
think we need to see the beauty in everybody's lane. Just like, like whether it's Isaiah, Patrice, or anybody, see the beauty in everybody's lane, but also understand, you can know you can sit with I guess I guess you could say you can sit with a snake, a bear, or anything, but you also need to know the what they are in their natural
Mm-hmm.
habitat. You know what I mean? Like, you can work hand in hand with your white allies, but you also need to know what they are as well. Like, you can't police community members and tell them that they need to do what Tarrant County does if you want to see change. We wouldn't have seen this kind of change with Aaron Dean being guilty if we had police community members for the last 3 years. I think that we need to stop that. I think we need to work together because we are so much better together. I think we could do way more damage. I think Tarrant County has a whole I think Tarrant County has to create a space where we could do some dope progressive shit. And I think that's what we do. And I think Dallas has a lot to learn. Dallas has a lot to learn. But I know that we have done some things around oversight. I know we have done some things around police, updating general orders and some dope projects. And I know Tarrant County, they do the work. Like, I
Yeah,
ain't never known a Tarrant County member that ain't willing to get down and do the work. But how are we going to do that if we're telling each other, you can't do this, you can't do that, and Tarrant County does it like this? Well, guess what? We don't want to do it how Tarrant County usually does it. There's an opportunity to do it differently. You know what I mean? And I think we're in that moment, in that time, and I want to see us come together. I want to see us do the work and get some real change.
so we're gonna wrap this thing up, man. I appreciate you. Like, I took a lot of your time this morning, but let's wrap it up. So how you feel things gonna end up on Monday? What's your honest thoughts on what would happen or what would be the income that would come in on Monday?
Man, well, one, free Manuel Malta. We're trying to get him out, our brother, and thank you to all the dope attorneys that are working around this case. We got to protect our community members and those that are willing to get down and do the work and do the work nobody else wants to do. Hold Tarrant County criminal justice system accountable. Two, I just want to one thank Tatiana for working for us on this side. Our ancestor. We usually say in Yoruba, which is African, one of the oldest African cult spiritual systems, Ibashe, right? We say Ibashe, that's celebrating a Tatiana. So I want to say Ibashe to Tatiana. We see you, sis. We know you're moving. We know you're working for us. And also just love to the family. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Love to Ashley, love to Amber, love to Darius. The A team, man, they've been doing such an amazing job. And we know doesn't get easy, but we know that God got your back. We know that the creator is working and everything is gonna move forward. Just to speak to that, you know what I mean? And then I'm hoping we get the maximum. I think we
Yeah.
have to get the maximum. We don't have a choice but to get the maximum. And I think that 20 years is not enough, but we need to go in that direction based on the facts, based on the evidence. He does not need probation. He doesn't need any of that. He needs to do time for taking a life. You know what I mean? He took a Tatiana's life, didn't render aid, he just doesn't care about um, anybody but himself. And I think
Yeah.
I think we need to make sure that we're keeping our eyes focused on that DA's office, because Sharon Wilson and Phil Sorrells, you're not going to allow the Dean family, Aaron Dean, to get another job. Once he does this time, he's not going to get out and be a police officer again. Don't try to move him to Blue Mound like you did Courtney Johnson, who is now Corey
Mm,
Johnson. We got our eyes on you. So
yeah.
understand that. You know what I mean? He needs 20 years. So let's get it done. I'm praying, meditating, hoping. Let's link up. Let's do the healing work. But understand that there's so many more victims of Justice for Tatiana, and that's Zion, who has to live with this for the rest of his life. That's Amber. That's Ashley. That's Darius. People who have been victimized. You know what I mean? And by this, and know that the work is not going to stop here. They deserve what they're owed from the city of Fort Worth, and I think
Exactly.
we just keep going and keep lifting up Tatiana's name, and never stop saying her name, and she'll never die.
Man, facts. Man, once again, I thank you for coming on here. Like you said, Yafel said he said in the chat you was going hard this morning. So you definitely brought it. You brought a lot of information from a bird's eye, basically from a front row view. So I appreciate you for joining on. And people, if you watching, just another reminder to subscribe to the YouTube channel Black Empowerment Movement. I always have dope conversation like this of stuff going on locally. So keeping the state abreast with going on, especially in Fort Worth, the Dallas Fort Worth area. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, in the description, I have a link to the family GoFundMe. So if y'all watching, please go to that GoFundMe link. Donate whatever you can. That going to the Jefferson family. So Tatiana, sisters, they dealing with a lot. So if you can go to that link in that in the description box, go to their GoFundMe page, donate whatever you can. That'll certainly, surely be appreciated. But with saying that, thank you, Faye, for joining on. And as we end this, I like to say all power to the people, and we out of here. Y'all have a good one. Enjoy your Sunday.
Have a good one. Bye.